You bought something today. Maybe it was coffee, maybe it was gas. Somewhere on that receipt, a price ended in 99 cents. And the reason that price felt so much cheaper than the whole dollar sitting right next to it has nothing to do with math. It's not a trick exactly, it's older than that. It's a number system that's been sitting in your skull for 200,000 years, and nobody ever updated it for cash registers. Here's what almost nobody tells you about your own brain. You don't actually process numbers the way you think you do. You believe you're reading 9.99 and calculating that it's basically $10. You're not. Some part of you never gets past the 9. Why would evolution build a brain that's bad at math? It didn't. It built a brain that was excellent at a very different kind of counting. Not exact counting, approximate counting, the kind that mattered on the savannah. Picture your ancestors standing at the edge of a clearing. There's a herd of animals in the distance. Is it worth the risk of a hunt? You don't need to know if there are exactly 31 of them or exactly 29. You need to know fast whether it's a small herd or a large one, whether it's one predator or four, whether the berries on that bush are a handful or an armful. That's not weakness, that's speed, and it kept people alive. The neuroscientist Stanislas Dehaene spent decades studying this system, and he found something remarkable. Humans, along with a wide range of animals, share what researchers call an approximate number system. It's ancient, it shows up in infants before they can speak. It shows up in animals that never learned to count at all. And it works by mapping quantities onto something like a mental number line, where big differences are easy to feel and small differences blur together. That blur is the whole story. When two numbers are far apart, your brain sees the gap instantly. When they're close, especially when they share the same leading digit, your brain barely notices the difference at all. This isn't a fringe theory. Dehaene and other researchers found this same approximate system in infants who couldn't yet talk, in animals who never learned a single symbol, and in adults across wildly different cultures and languages. It shows up as what's sometimes called the distance effect. Comparing 2 and 8 is fast and easy. Comparing 2 and 3 is slower because they sit closer together on that mental line. Your brain isn't broken when this happens. It's running exactly the software it was issued. And that software was never built for currency. It was built for foraging, for herds, for distances, for anything where being roughly right quickly mattered more than being exactly right slowly. But here's the problem with that ancient wiring, and it's a problem retailers found before scientists did. Your approximate number system reads from left to right, and it weighs the leftmost digit far more heavily than the ones after it. So when a price drops from $10 to $9.99, something strange happens. The actual difference is 1 cent. The felt difference is enormous because the leftmost digit just dropped from a 1 to a 9. In 2005, two researchers named Manoj Thomas and Vicky Morwitz ran a series of experiments to test exactly this. They found that people consistently judged prices ending in 99 cents to be meaningfully smaller than the round number just above them, but only when the leading digit changed. 1999 felt dramatically cheaper than $20, but $2.59 didn't feel meaningfully cheaper than $2.60. Same 1 cent gap. Completely different feeling. They called it the left digit effect, and it's been replicated over and over since. Retailers had already found this by instinct decades earlier. Researchers Mark Stiving and Russell Weiner studied real scanner data from actual stores and found the same pattern hiding in plain sight, price tag after price tag, in the way 9 ending prices clustered at the edges of round numbers, quietly nudging buyers past a mental threshold they didn't know was there. There's a second layer to this, sitting right beside the left digit effect. Stiving and Weiner called it an image effect. Prices ending in 9 don't just get misread as smaller. They get read as a signal, a shorthand your brain has learned over a lifetime of shopping. A price ending in 99 has come to mean discount, deal, sale, even when nothing about the product changed at all. Two separate mental shortcuts, both firing at once, both aimed at the exact same 3 digits on a price tag. So how big is this effect really? Is it just a rounding error in your head, or does it actually change what you buy? A more recent study gives you the answer, and it's larger than most people would guess. The economist Avner Strulov-Schlein examined scanner data from thousands of products across dozens of supermarket chains and found that a 1 cent increase crossing a 9 ending threshold, say from $4.99 to $5 even, produced a drop in sales as steep as what you'd expect from a 20-cent price increase anywhere else. 1 cent, behaving like 20. That's not a small nudge. That's your ancient number line, making decisions faster than your rational mind can catch up. But here's the open loop worth holding on to, because the story doesn't end at the grocery store, and where this bias shows up next might surprise you. You'd expect this kind of thing to fade once the stakes get serious. Surely a professional buying a car, a house, or a stock doesn't fall for the same trick that works on a bag of chips. They do. Economist Nicola Lasetera and colleagues studied thousands of used car listings and found the exact same left digit clustering hiding in odometer readings, where a car with 99,000 miles sold meaningfully better than an otherwise identical car with 100,000, even though a single mile separated them. Researchers Repetto and Solis found buyers doing the same thing in housing markets, treating a home listed at $299,000 as meaningfully cheaper than one listed at $300,000, even though the gap barely registers next to a mortgage. And in financial markets, researchers have traced the left-digit bias directly into options pricing itself, uncovering measurable jumps in expected returns sitting right at round number thresholds, not shoppers standing in a checkout line. Traders, people whose entire job is supposed to be pricing risk rationally, still quietly nudged by the same leftmost digit their hunter-gatherer ancestors once used to size up a herd from across a clearing. Stop and sit with that for a second. If the bias survives contact with professional traders staring at screens full of numbers all day, what chance did you ever have standing in front of a shelf? That's the twist hiding underneath all of this. You've probably assumed this whole time that the $9.99 trick is something marketers invented. It isn't. Marketers just discovered a bug that was already sitting in the hardware. The price tag didn't create the bias, it found it and started aiming at it. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. Every subscription that costs $9.99 a month instead of $10. Every listing that ends in 95 or 98 or 99. Every sales sign that drops a price from a round number to something suspiciously, deliberately, just below it. None of it is random. All of it is aimed with real precision at a number system your brain built for counting predators, not counting dollars. Think about the last time you compared two subscription plans, one at $9.99 a month and one at $19.99. Your slow, careful brain can do that subtraction in about a second. $10 apart, easy math. But the feeling arrives before the math does, and the feeling isn't measuring $10. It's measuring the gap between a 1 and a 2 or a 9 and a 1, blown up far larger than the real difference deserves. Multiply that tiny, repeated overreaction across every purchase you make in a year, and you start to see why an entire pricing industry has been built around 3 digits after a decimal point. It even explains something that used to seem like a harmless coincidence. Notice how rarely you see a price end in a 3, a 6, or a 7. Retail pricing tends to cluster overwhelmingly around 0, 5, and 9, not because those are prettier numbers, but because they sit at exactly the spots on your mental number line where the left digit effect and the image effect do the most work at once. Here's the part that should really sit with you. Knowing about the left digit effect doesn't automatically make you immune to it. Researchers have found that this bias gets stronger, not weaker, exactly when you're tired, distracted, or rushed. Which is, unsurprisingly, most of the time you're actually standing in a checkout line. Your slower, more rational brain can catch up and correct the feeling. But by the time it does, the snap judgment already happened, and the snap judgment is usually the one that decides what ends up in your cart. So, the next time you feel a rush of relief at a price ending in 99, that feeling isn't stupidity, and it isn't weakness. It's 200,000 years of a number system doing exactly the job it evolved to do, just pointed at the wrong kind of danger. Your ancestors needed to size up a herd in an instant. You're using the same system to size up a shopping cart, and the store already knows it. None of this means you're incapable of outsmarting it. It just means outsmarting. It takes a half second you weren't planning on spending. The slow, deliberate part of your brain, the part that can actually do the subtraction, is available. It's just not the part that speaks first. If you made it this far, that means the same ancient number line that once sized up a herd from across a clearing just sat still long enough to actually study itself, and that's a strange kind of progress worth being proud of. Thank you for spending these minutes with your own wiring instead of against it. And if you want to keep understanding why your brain handles money the way it does, subscribe. There's a new episode every week, unpacking another instinct you never noticed was running the show. Because the next time you buy something today and the price ends in 99 cents, you'll know exactly what just happened in the half second before you decided to say yes.